Welcome to the Podyssey, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of the greatest little independent cinema on the planet, the Odyssey in St Albans. This podcast is a partnership between the Odyssey Cinema and Mix 92.6 FM, Hertfordshire's local radio station. Thanks for joining us. Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Podyssey. I'm joined as always by Sam, Nick and Roberto. Hello chaps.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Everybody well?
Yeah, very well.
Warm.
For some reason,
so hot today.
I don't know why you're looking a bit shifty today. I don't know what it is. Like you've been up to something. All right, in that case, what have you been up to? Let's find out what you've been up to over the last month since we last spoke, chaps. What's been going on at the Odyssey?
I've been working a lot, to be honest. I bought a Switch 2. The Switch 2's been making me very happy.
Working hard on the Switch 2.
Exactly. Mario Kart World. It's the downtime in between cinema shifts that makes it all worth it.
Mario Kart. I love it. Absolutely love it. Roberto, how's things with you?
Yeah, not bad. But obviously been working at the Odyssey as usual. Me and Sam have been cooking up another amazing production for the social medias.
This is following on from the Jason Statham.
Yes,
The excellent Jason Statham one.
There is a slight reference in there. You can have a look once it's out. It might even be out by the time this goes up. But,
Yeah, probably will be.
It's linked to a certain big spy film we've got coming up. So get ready.
Yeah, prepare for that. It's a real cinematic universe.
If you're listening, it's worth checking out the Odyssey social media channels, if only for these masterpieces produced by Roberto and Sam to promote upcoming films. The acting's amazing. The scripting is, I don't know what to say. And the accents are the accents.
Yes.
So they're well worth a look.
Yeah, definitely check it out. I want to shout out a film I watched at the Odyssey, Cinema Paradiso, of course. Our resident co-host Nick's favourite film, which we watched together.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, it is as good as they say. It really is. It's absolutely amazing film.
Nick's been right all this time.
Yeah, I really wish I wish I watched it earlier. I think it was actually the right time to watch it because it's kind of put my faith back in cinema.
Mm-hmm.
It really is a great love.
I think what put my faith back into that whole screening was just seeing a variety of ages show up to performance as well. Like student age to, sort of like 18 to 80 almost.
It's one of those
really
films that people love and pass on, do you reckon?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's also because that's sort of almost a subject matter as well.
Definitely, yeah.
Like you move on and you share the community feeling of it as well. I just love it. I don't want to go too much into it, but I love it.
Good stuff.
Yeah, next time it's on, definitely come and see Cinema Paradiso. That's my mention.
Sam, seen anything good?
Yes. I saw Sinners.
Michael
Roberto's
B. Jordan
recommendation.
thing.
Yeah, the Michael B. Jordan one. Yes, I really liked it. It's probably the best film of the year so far that I've seen.
And he plays twins, right?
He does. Yes.
That's not a spoiler, I think.
That's all in the setup. I don't want to say too much about it because the less you know, the better. But it's just probably the most unique and original film of the year.
Wow.
And on such a big budget as well. It's a really terrific thing to see. For sure.
Excellent. And he's great in it as well.
He's
good in everything.
Such a good talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely recommend that. We've got that coming up again soon.
Good stuff. So I know that some of the bits you've got coming up in the next few weeks, we've got a lot of British films going to be showing at the Odyssey. So we've got The Ballad of Wallace Island. Let me check my list here. We've got Barry Lyndon. Barry Lyndon, I wasn't too sure what that was. What is Barry Lyndon?
That is one of Kubrick's masterpieces. Yes, from I think the 70s, I want to say. I think it's his longest film. It's about 3 hours long, but that should not stop you from coming to see it.
I mean, it might.
It might. But yeah, I saw it at the Odyssey actually for the first time about 10 years ago. And it is one of the most beautiful films you'll ever see. It's shot in just this insanely gorgeous way. The cinematography has kind of never been repeated. Every shot and every frame of it looks like a painting and kind of by design. And it's all using real candlelight and real natural lighting.
Wow.
There's nothing artificial in it at all. So everything is done in camera. It's just terrific. And the story is great. It's kind of the rise and fall of this soldier in the British Army who kind of aspires to greatness and he slowly becomes an aristocrat and has a a great fall from that point.
Oh, it sounds good. And it's all by local boy Stanley Kubrick as well, of course.
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of it was filmed just down the road, I think, as well, at his house.
Yeah. Gorhambury, they call it. Yeah.
So we've also got the Salt Path coming up and Tornado, and we'll talk about those in a bit. But in honour of those films, we are going to come back after a very quick break, and we're going to be discussing the best British films, keeping it very blighty today. Welcome back to part 2 of the Podyssey, and we are discussing all things British films. There's been some absolute crackers over the years. We've got a load coming up at the Odyssey in the next few weeks for you to enjoy. But yeah, chaps, you've been very kindly putting together your best British films lists. Tricky one, this, I imagine. Sam, let's hear from you first. Sure. What's made the cut? And why?
Well, yeah, I've kind of gone for a couple of lesser known classics, old classics and modern classics. Just because I wanted to celebrate a couple of British films that people may not have seen. One of my favourite films that I really want us to show at the Odyssey, and I'm keep putting it in the request book, is The Red Shoes. It's from Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger. It's one of their all-time great films from 1948. They spent a couple of years making propaganda films for the British government during the war, and this was their first film after that where they had kind of full creative control. It's a film about a ballet dancer who just wants to kind of be the best, and she joins this company that's run by this guy called Lermontov, and he is just insane. And it's kind of like Whiplash, I suppose. I think Whiplash was quite informed by the film.
Oh, interesting.
But in the world of ballet. And there's just this scene in the middle of the film that's kind of the most iconic part, where the ballet, you're kind of watching a ballet being performed of the story of the Red Shoes. And it kind of stops being on stage and it kind of becomes this surrealist thing where you're not sure what's real and what's not anymore. And it's just kind of one of the most extraordinary sequences I think that's ever been put to film. And yes, all British production, British cast, British everything. Really terrific film. I love it. One of the great films of all time.
I like the sound of it. And also, I'd never heard of it. And when I was having a little Google up, just because I was interested in what IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes, it comes up high a lot of the time. Kind of Citizen Kane levels of high.
Yeah.
But I don't know where I've been. I've just never heard of that film.
Yeah.
I heard about it in uni, and it was a lesson about the cinematographer, who I think is Jack Cardiff.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and he did loads of films with Powell and Pressburger. But I watched it, and like you said, it kind of predates a lot of those kind of, someone aiming to be the best at something and then the kind of the catastrophic fall off. But I think what's interesting about The Red Shoes is that guy you mentioned is also a big part of why it happens. And I just remember there's a shot of him at the end, just like with it's like one of those good pieces of acting where he's not actually doing anything, but you can just tell like all of the things going on in his head while it's happening. It's great. It's a great film. I need to rewatch it. I need to watch more Powell and Pressburger in general. I keep saying this.
And also, can you imagine how literally difficult it was to make a film in the 40s in terms of like filming and like sticking the bits of film together and getting the light and like the sound? It must have been so hard.
And the cameras are just these heavy, massive things, and you have to like do camera movements with it. It's
that's balmy. All right, good one. Good start. The Red Shoes. What else you got, Sam?
I've also got a film called Don't Look Now from 73.
I love it.
Nicholas Roeg.
Yeah.
The Odyssey.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know we'd shown it.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
My mum, which was interesting.
This is the one in Venice, right?
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
Good film.
In Venice.
Good film.
It's kind of British, I guess, in name only because.
Well, I think it's a British film filmed in Venice.
It is.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, and it's Donald Sutherland who is American, but he is terrific in it. One of his best performances, I would say.
He's kind of the most British American guy, though, I feel.
Yes, yeah.
His accent sometimes is like this weird mixture of both, and it kind of like goes in and out, I feel.
But yeah, it's a really great film, kind of about grief and loss, and it kind of really spirals very quickly into something very haunting and terrifying.
Very, very good film.
Yeah, some great imagery in there that I don't want to say specifically what it is.
And also really like Venice. Venice is one of the real stars. Like, like all this mad stuff that is just going on in Venice, like priests on boats and so, like it's such a good setting for a kind of weird, unsettling film as well.
Yeah, it's very
it's
deeply
very unique
troubling
in the way it kind of does the horror elements, and like Venice, you just wouldn't expect to see like that kind of hasn't really been repeated. I don't think. The way they shoot Venice in that film.
Yeah, really good
the
film.
horror out of it.
Yeah,
I've never seen the movie, but from the sounds of it, the contrast of the beauty of Venice versus the horror, maybe, or whatever goes on, is probably something that's worth exploring.
There's also a really very boring, quick holiday anecdote. Nothing worse than other people's holiday chat.
That's pretty good.
You know, there's a bit where I think it's Donald Sutherland who gets completely lost in the middle of Venice. Me and Jem were on holiday in Venice, and we got completely lost. Venice is got to be, I would say, the easiest populated place on earth to get lost in. It all looks exactly the same.
It's all tunnels.
Good luck with Google Maps because there's no roads. Like it's balmy. We had an exact almost mirror of his thing where he keeps going under the same bridge and finding himself in the same corner. We had the same thing when we were in Venice.
It looks very like enclosed, like in some of the like alleyways, which also have the canals stuff still running through.
Intersecting and
good one. Good, yes. Two good ones.
Yes, love that film. I also only saw A Clockwork Orange for the first time last year. That's another Kubrick film. Yes, one of his other British productions that was filmed very locally as well.
I've never braved it.
It is pretty mad.
And there's some pretty nasty stuff.
Yeah, right? It's very nasty, pretty much right from the offset. So I guess you got to prepare yourself for that before you watch it. I think it might be my favourite, or maybe not favourite's the right word, probably the Kubrick film that I was most kind of taken aback by when I watched it. It's quite a difficult source material, I suppose, to approach. And the themes it's dealing with are very complex and the characters are kind of horrific. But it is,
it's very an important film, I'd say, as well, because you need to brave subject matter like that sometimes. I think you gotta look into the darkness of humanity. Dredge up the values in it. What can we learn? So I remember I watched it with a friend, weirdly enough. So I can't remember it too well, but I need to go back and watch all of it.
It was banned for a little while, wasn't it?
Was it censored?
Was it video nasty or no? I don't think so.
I'm sure,
might be. Video nasty.
Yeah, good ones. Yes. Any more from you, Sam?
Yes, just a couple more. A couple of modern ones. After Sun, from a couple of years ago.
Amazing.
Yes, with Paul Mescal. It's a film. It's kind of a semi-autobiographical film from the director Charlotte Wells. It's her debut film. It's kind of about a dad and his daughter going on holiday in Spain, I think, and just kind of following them around and following her perspective as a child. It's kind of intercut between her as an adult watching the home video that she'd filmed at the time.
Oh, that's clever.
And it's kind of recontextualizing how she sees her dad, who's now absent from her life. It's very sad. Very. Sorry for that. It is wonderful. The ending is one of the best in recent years, I think.
Oh wow,
tragic. Really tragic. It's on iPlayer at the moment, I think, and probably on there for quite a while. Definitely recommend seeing that. And lastly is The Death of Stalin. Love that film. Armando Iannucci, friend of the Odyssey. We showed it there a couple of years ago. And
Sam and Armando mates.
We are best friends. If you're listening, they call
him Sarmando.
Sam introduced Armando, and you also talked with him, or you introduced him.
Introduced him when he was here for The Death of Stalin.
With the understanding that you can't say anything else. Nice bloke.
Lovely man, absolutely lovely. Yes. He's very down to willing to put up with my incessant questions about all of the things he's done. Very nice.
Also came to watch Cinema Paradiso, so I love him even more.
Exactly.
I just came along just to come. Oh yeah,
served him.
Oh nice.
Nice. All right, Armando.
Yes, that's very cool. And Jason Isaacs is in the film, probably the highlight of the film, I'd say, as General Zukov. He's wearing this insane coat that's covered in medals. Which actually, for the film, they had to reduce the amount of medals that the character is wearing because the real life guy just had thousands of medals on this one coat, and he just looks crazy. The photos of the guy are just insane. Very worth giving that a Google.
Yeah, nice.
Yes,
good film. Very good film. Good list. Good list. And swerving the obvious ones, which we like to do here. Good stuff, Sam. Good start. Roberto, what you got?
Wallace and Gromit, Curse the Were-Rabbit.
I knew you were going to say one of those.
I think I've brought this film up before, but I'm gonna have to, because I literally could. I was like British, but I can't not bring up. I could bring up any of the Wallace and Gromit films.
No, I mean quintessentially British is Wallace and Gromit.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, so much so.
Yeah.
And like game changing as well.
Yeah, for that industry completely.
Are they big in America? Those films?
Well, this is the funny thing about.
Not that matters either way, but
I think there's a Wallace and Gromit fan base in America, but it's funny because Curse the Were-Rabbit is a DreamWorks film technically.
Yeah,
it was like in a period where Aardman were kind of do it because they did Flush Away as well, which is another classic.
It is a classic.
But because I saw a really good review of Curse the Were-Rabbit on Letterboxd that said, when we think of the greatest Englishman of all time, we forget Nick Park asked DreamWorks for millions of dollars to make a film about a vegetable growing competition in Lancashire, and they gave it to him. And it's like, I think that is the essence of why the Wallace and Gromit films are so good, is because they will just take very quaint things about British culture and make some of the greatest action set pieces out of them. I mean, the train in Wrong Trousers is iconic, but in Curse the Were-Rabbit, there's a dogfight, which is a double meaning. I always went so high. There's a dogfight, which is just as good, I would say, and there's a great gag in the middle. And when I rewatched it, when I rediscovered my love of Wallace and Gromit in sick form, when I got to the end of Curse the Were-Rabbit, I was genuinely tearing up. I was like, oh, Gromit. He's just
I know. Oh.
When this new one came out, people were like, why is Wallace so mean to Gromit? I was like, I was there at the beginning when Gromit was.
He's been doing that the whole time.
He's been saving people. Really. He's never got the credit he's due.
Gromit's never got justice.
He doesn't need it though, because he just knows in his heart.
And we know.
We know. Exactly. So that's
good.
Gromit.
What else you got, Roberto?
My guy. Next one, pretty obvious one, but I had to mention it because it is probably one of my favourite films as well. Shaun of the Dead. Just endlessly quotable. I think the thing with the Cornetto trilogy is there's always a battle between Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, and then occasionally you'll get someone who goes, I think The World's End is actually the best one. You go, get out of here. I actually really like The World's End as well.
Yeah, I do actually. I do.
I think Shaun of the Dead is my favourite. I think Shaun of the Dead, some would disagree. I think Shaun of the Dead does something the other two don't pull off as well, which is like, actually Hot Fuzz does it pretty well. But I think Shaun of the Dead, I like that there's a bit of a tonal kind of battle going on between Sean's kind of, his relationship with Nick Frost and the kind of the humour that comes out of that. But then also him having to actually rebuild his relationships with his family and his girlfriend and how that plays into the themes of zombies,
Also, it now doesn't seem it, but quite groundbreaking at the time.
Oh,
so now, obviously, a gazillion zombie films, but no funny zombie films.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Now you do see them, but that was really new at the time.
Yeah, and obviously I think as well, it's what put Edgar Wright on the map. And I still think it's probably some of his best filmmaking in terms of just it's very calculated, but there's also a bit of fun and whimsy. I mean, there's so many great set pieces.
I think you can see that through the research and the influences anyway that he gets from these movies. Clearly, a zombie movie, he's just like, how can I make Dawn of the Dead but make it British?
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. What if this happened in the surbab of Crouch End in London?
Exactly. Yeah. And the same with the Hot Fuzz, really.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with Shaun of the Dead I really like as well. You can feel the lived experience, you can feel because Simon Pegg wrote it based on him and Nick Frost spending nights on end in pubs, and I feel like you do get that vibe. I think that's what makes it stick out to me. But I also do love Hot Fuzz.
And they've all done so well since then. Simon Pegg, of course, in the new Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
And an absolute mainstay of that franchise. Definitely. Next to Cruise.
Yes. Nick Frost
just cast as Hagrid, isn't he? So,
Has he?
Yeah.
Oh, and he's in the new How to Train Your Dragon.
Coming soon.
They've done all right, those lads. Good stuff, Roberto. What else?
So then I'm going to go for, I don't know if you guys have seen this, A Brief Encounter.
Yes, I love Brief Encounter.
Never seen it.
I've
heard of it. I've heard of mostly.
I highly recommend it. It's directed by David Lean, who's most known for Lawrence of Arabia and Bridge on the River Kwai, which are both plus 2.5 hours. Lawrence of Arabia is 3.5 hours.
Is this the one on the train?
This is the one on the train, yes. And it's only
this is a great film.
90 minutes.
Yeah,
it's
very lean.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's that. I really wish I got to that. I really wish I got that.
I'd like to apologise to everybody listening there.
I do not apologise.
I don't want to. I think most people know what the plot of Brief Encounter is, but I don't want to spoil it because the best way to sum up my love of this film is that it starts off with this scene from a side character's perspective, and then you see the two main characters, and she's talking to them, and you kind of don't really know what's going on at that point. But then when you get to the end of the film, you see that scene from the main character's perspective, and it's it's like so heartbreaking. You're like, why did that happen? And then that side character is already set up to be a bit of a fool. But when you get to the ending, you're like, you
hate this person so much.
But aside from that as well, the film has lots of just lovely scenes of this great chemistry between these two actors. This kind of romance that flourishes through very normal life shenanigans going to the cinema, walking down the canal. It's all very. I think there's a quaintness to it, but then that's what magnifies the kind of somewhat, not the tragedy. It is tragic, but it's not the sadness of the situation at hand. So I do definitely watch Brief Encounter. It's an absolute classic. And then finally, I feel like if you're talking about British cinema, can't not bring up either like Ken Loach, Mike Leigh.
Yeah,
just British
I was
social
thinking
realism.
this. There's when we were sort of thinking of like ones to mention. There's some that you always want to mention as a gang. So like when you talk about best British films, you want to mention Ken Loach, but I couldn't really pick one of his to nominate. It's more like if you bundle up all of his, it's one of the best British films.
Yeah, you know what? I did forget about Kes. I do like Kes, and it's the only Ken Loach film I've seen, which is really bad. I should watch more. But I have seen quite a few films from Mike Leigh, who we had recently at the Odyssey. We had a film of his most recent at the Odyssey, Hard Truths, which I thought about actually bringing up because honestly, that film really surprised me in the way especially watching it in the cinema and seeing how the film developed from like this kind of off-kilter comedy about this sort of a caricature, I suppose, and then how he then spends the next half of the film really bringing out the reasons why this person is like this and kind of showing a lot of empathy towards very normal people in normal situations and kind of very normal conflicts that happen. That really surprised me. But I do want to mention Life is Sweet, which you could also say is a bit of a comedy. It does a similar thing, it's similar tonal balancing act where there's a kind of the comedy comes from everyday life, and particularly Jim Broadbent and Alison Steadman's characters, kind of their little like husband and wife spats. Nothing like serious, but just like him buying things that he doesn't need, and her going, "Oh, Andy, what are you doing?" The core of the film is this relationship between their daughters, and particularly one of them who's very troubled, and you see that in a lot of scenes, and it kind of culminates in this very empathetic kind of rebuilding of relationships throughout the film, and some relationships fall to the wayside, as is life. But I think that's what makes Mike Leigh a good filmmaker. Kind of like Hirokazu Koreeda, they bring real life to life and kind of really dive into the nuances in a very warm, kind of endearing way.
And
so
Mike Leigh is
I recommend that.
Almost kind of heroically slow. The film's really like plod.
Yeah, take their time.
But they're all the better for it. But he doesn't rush anything through. Like if somebody's walking into a garden, you're watching them come all the way through the gate and walk all the way up, and you're watching this happen. You know what I mean? There's a good minute before something happens.
Which definitely makes when the characters then maybe explode, or when a humorous note hits. I think that's why those films work as well as they do. And Secrets and Lies is probably his most famous, I'd say, or his most well known, and that's really good as well. But yeah, I'd say check out Life is Sweet if you haven't. It's a good 90-minute look at some social realism, and it's funny, sad in a few places, but ultimately very kind and empathetic film.
Nice.
So yeah,
good list. We've not done any kind of classics, which is good. Nick, what you got for us?
Okay, so great lists, guys. Although I feel like my list is going to be haywire. The first film I want to bring up. So it's June. It's Pride Month for some people. So I have to bring up Pride.
I love that film.
Pride is truly
so
like a great British movie.
I love
as
that
well.
film.
Set in 1984 when
what a
the
film.
miners' strike happened, and you had a select group of people. They were called lesbians and gays against support the miners, and they are sort of just backing up the people affected by the miners' strike, mostly in the northern parts of the UK. It's got a great cast of people. So Bill Nye, of course, you probably see him in most British films now, but actually one that sort of brings out the more comedic side to him as well. I feel bad because I don't remember her name. It also has the lady.
Imelda Staunton's in it. Dominic West's in it.
Baby Reindeer. She just something.
She plays the kind of Sean Phillips, or whatever her name is. The Welsh
so she
politician.
plays. I was going to say she plays one with the mullet, but they've all got mullet.
Yeah.
But it's a great movie. I was doing some research. I was seeing that it was screened.
Andrew Scott. Sorry.
Yeah, Andrew Scott. Yeah, that's right. I don't know why I blanked on that cast, but it is a great movie. I was just mentioning it was screened in the 2014 Cannes Film Festival, and it won the Queer Palm Award, which is sort of the pseudo Palme d'Or, but obviously for queer-centric movies, which is a great feat to have. And also it's directed by Matthew Warchus, who's got a great filmography in it. That he actually directed the Matilda the musical, the movie that came out a couple of years ago, which is another quite good British movie, I think, in myself. If you haven't seen it, check it out.
It's fantastic.
Obviously, it celebrated 10 years last year. I watched it last year for its 10th year anniversary, and it will stand the test of time. It's a timeless sort of film.
Great film. Completely true story. Everyone in there is playing a real person.
Yeah.
There's a bit in
George
it where...
McKay.
That's right.
Great in it as well. He's sort of the everyman you follow because he's sort of beginning to meet these groups and come out as his own identity, in his own sort of finding himself out.
Paddy Considine.
Paddy Considine.
Love Paddy.
Listen, why have I got to say more? You just got to go and watch it now.
Yeah, that film's amazing. So I could talk about that all day. We won't, but I could talk about that all day. There's a bit in that where Dominic West goes into the kind of working men's club in Wales, where men just do not dance.
No, yeah.
Dominic West is a very flamboyant man from 80s Soho, and he's kind of a bit damaged and he's a bit depressed. And then he starts dancing in that scene. Right. I'm going to miss that talk about it. It's absolutely gorgeous.
It's a great film. And honestly, I think, you don't have to be a certain way to watch this movie. It can be for anyone.
Yeah,
it's also got nominated for a whole bunch of BAFTAs as well, so which proves it's
rightly so. Good start. Yeah, love it. Love it.
The second movie I picked was Submarine from 2010. This is the movie by Richard Ayoade. It's actually his directorial debut. I can't remember if he's done anything since, but
it's done a couple.
Did the Dostoevsky double thing? Yeah,
I watched it ages ago. I need to rewatch it. I know you're not a fan of that.
I do not like it.
Is that the one with Jesse Eisenberg?
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen the poster.
Weird story. In fairness to Eisenberg and Richard Ayoade, it's a weird story, I think, because the film's weird because I think the original story by Dostoevsky is
enough, when I watched, I'm going completely off book now, but when I watched A Real Pain, I was like, Richard Ayoade should be in this movie.
He was meant to be, I think.
I was.
Oh, no way.
He was going to be the tour guide. But
that makes complete sense. Yeah, because that guy exactly like the mannerisms of him as well.
Phoenician Scheme, so which I'm very looking forward to.
Come to the Odyssey, watch Phoenician Scheme. But Submarine, it's a 2010 coming-of-age comedy drama written and directed by Richard Ayoade, starring also some great British talent, Paddy Considine again. Craig Roberts, though, is the standout. I think it was his debut as well in feature film, and he was 19 at the time, which is mad, and he's had a great career since. It's actually based off a 2008 novel as well, and I just believe that it's so like twee, this movie. I've got the vinyl of the EP at home, which was that all the music was done by Alex Turner, who's the lead of Arctic Monkeys. And he's just got this sort of, I don't know if anyone's like heard that term, shoegaze music. So it's got very like ethereal music running through it. Sort of the definitely influenced by like some sort of like childlike nature of sort of the setting, and obviously the story itself, first loves and breakups and discovering yourself throughout those years, your teenage years. I think it's set in the 80s as well, so definitely has that sort of look of that timestamp, blast from the past sort of thing. And I love movies that are not aged in the way of like it's been a lot of there's a lot of years to it, but in a time period, and they go to the movies and they're like you explore that
and they capture the time really well.
They do. They honestly do capture it really well, and the settings are lovely. The writing's great. It's quite bittersweet as well, though. So I go for it if you want to watch something which is just like calm to look at, but also has a bit more of a complex story to it. This is something definitely you should watch. So Submarine up there.
Good one.
Number 3 is it's a bit of a combo American British movie, V for Vendetta, from 2005. This is based off the graphic novel written by Alan Moore.
I've never seen this.
Watchmen, and Watchmen's like one of my favorite books of all time. It's a dystopian thriller movie, sort of in a world where UK has been turned into a fascist totalitarian state. Sort of V, played by Hugo Weaving, is sort of the hero that everyone not wants but deserves, sort of, and since then, I don't think it's really acclaimed too much, but
it's very underrated.
That's the thing. I think it's just generally underrated by people as well.
I think as years go by, it gets more kind of hype, though. I feel like in recent years I've heard more people going V for Vendetta is pretty good. I've seen the Letterboxd rating kind of steadily goes up, which is funny because it's produced by the Wachowskis, and that's that's how all Wachowski films happen at that. Exactly. It's like starts off, how do I feel about this? And then as the years go by,
and the director of the V for Vendetta was actually a producer on the with the Wachowski sort of projects. Like he did the most recent Matrix Revolutions, nice. Produced part of their even Sense8 as well, which is their TV show.
Let's watch that.
But the film's great. It's got Natalie Portman in it as well, Stephen Rea, a few other British talent in there as well. But it's just a really like cool story as well, and it just it gives you these characters, and you're sort of wondering. You're following Evie, which is played by Natalie Portman, but then you're finding out the history of V, and there's some great action scenes in there too. Mm-hmm. A lot of like tense thriller moments, and some great they just really present their characters like so well. And I've got some trivia of that when it's meant to open. Obviously, V for Vendetta talks about sort of Guy Fawkes as like a anarchist sort of movement, or really brings that into it. And it was actually meant to be released on the 4th of November in 2005, I believe, in the United States. But they delayed it because then it was swapped out for another movie. However, another thing is Alan Moore, so he wrote the original graphic novel, dissatisfied with his film adaptations such as From Hell and The League of Extraordinary
Gentlemen. I like that film.
He refused to watch the movie, and also refused to be credited or paid any royalties from the movie itself.
What an artist.
Which, funnily enough, it's just like probably one of his most popular of anything. He's got Watchmen.
If you think you don't like the way Hollywood kind of runs as a system, you don't hate it nearly as much as Alan Moore hates it. Alan Moore will go to war with that place if he gets the troops, the battalion.
Good stuff, Nick. Right, we've got a couple more from you, I think. Nick.
2 more. So my next one is Bend It Like Beckham from
Great
2002, directed by Gurinder Chadha.
Watched it in a hotel very recently, in fact, by chance. And
really?
It's incredibly good.
Yeah. She's done a few British movies as well. Quite like Blinded by the Light by her as well, which had a mention of St Albans in it. The St Albans HMV. And also, he's got another more British talent, of course. Parminder Nagra, Keira Knightley, Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, Juliet Stevenson as well. It's just sort of like what I love most about it is like the diversity that's on display at that time.
I agree, because it gives you it shows you into like those people's homes in a way that I've not really seen before that.
You wouldn't get. I don't believe that unless you're sort of part of that world, you're not going to get like a true telling of that story. And obviously, director is Punjabi, Muslim. She knows a lot of of the community itself, and she's probably the best person who is going to tell that story.
I totally agree. It was almost like striking for that being like such a big part of it. You're going into these like Punjabi family homes over in West London.
And also mixing that with the fact that it's called Bend It Like Beckham. Beckham was a huge idol at the time. Bend It Like Beckham, obviously referring to his free kicks.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's that amalgamation of like, this is how it's spent. This is what British is. It's like, it's your Punjabi family who lives in, I don't know, Ilford or whatever. And it's just a really good movie, but also because I think the writing's great. There's some characters in it that just, like Juliet Stevenson. She plays the mum of Keira Knightley, and she's just like all over it. She's like, what's going on here? What's happening? She's like, plays that sort of like brainless idiot person. But I love it. You're probably going to find it on some streaming service or not.
Brilliant film.
It is a brilliant film. My last one, this probably pushing the boundaries of like extreme, but Four Lions.
Oh yeah,
that's a great film.
I don't know how you
very clever film.
It's a clever movie. Yeah, it's got some great talent in it as well. Riz Ahmed, Kaivan Novak, Nigel Lindsay. It's just sort of like a massive satire on like how like terrorism in the UK is sort of like
perceived,
perceived as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like the. I mean, because obviously they're terrorists, they're going to be demonised, but the kind of public terror and perception of what these people are like,
but also,
and then the reality.
The funniest thing about that is like the one of the characters, Barry, is a self-proclaimed like Muslim, who's like.
Well, I think he's what makes the movie sing almost. He really represents like a kind of he kind of really represents like a true evil.
He is the true evil, like the white British guy.
Like, very good film, quite a brave film at the time as well.
100%. And the director, I mean, he's not really done too much except for
it's
TV.
the guy from Brass Eye bloke, isn't it? Yeah,
I love.
I read that he was a writer for Spitting Image as well in the 80s, so he's well versed in sort of parody.
Yes, Brass Eye is great, and also if you've never seen The Day Today, I think you can find all of that on YouTube.
That's where Alan Partridge
originated. It's another like kind of sketch show based like as though it's a news thing you're watching. That is like one of my favorite things ever. It's like it's so funny.
He's a like a kind of bit reclusive, Chris Morris, but he's really like revered in kind of those circles. People absolutely.
I can imagine as proof in the pudding there with that movie. I think it was again sort of underrated, but I definitely think now
here,
from
not necessarily outside of the UK.
You're right. Yeah,
when
it is great.
When it came out, I think I was like too young. My dad was very strict about what I watched, so it was kind of one of those films that was fabled in the playgrounds to me. Oh, this is what the film's about, and I was like, oh, what? So it kind of I had that image of it being kind of one of those almost like because it kind of got lumped in with like, oh, have you seen American Pie? This happens in this, Roberto. You can't watch it, and I was like, I lumped Four Lines in with that, but it's like the complete opposite. It's a very clever, smart piece of comedy,
incisive satire.
Because what you realise when you're laughing at people just blowing themselves up. It's like,
this is actually crazy.
Yeah, there's a line towards the end. I won't say what it is, but when it's kind of all
Robert Rapids.
Like that scene. And like one of the characters has like a final line that kind of like really cuts you to the quick. Like, oh, jeez, that's rough.
It's really good actually. It's really clever and really like sharp and really brave. And I guess one of the reasons it's maybe a bit lesser known is tough one to kind of critique in public, so like at the time people are probably quite nervous of giving it a review or whatever and getting it wrong, and also tough one to just PR generally because it's like the subject matter and
it's
stuff.
A tough sell.
Sure. But no, very good. Right, lads, good lists. Not a classic on there, which I like. I had a few I was going to add in. We don't need to discuss them. Pride, I love Pride. What a good film. I think we should just give a nod, if a Podyssey nod, a nodacy, if you will. Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels.
Oh, yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love it. Train Spotting. I think Train Spotting deserves a shout because, I mean, it made properly like Scotland on the map, not just British films, Scottish films on the map. Made Ewan McGregor, made Danny Boyle.
I think for me, Trainspotting would have been on my list, but I watched it in film study, so I've had to like go through. So it's a film I kind of
joy's been kind of sapped out of it a bit.
I really like it. I've been meaning to rewatch it without those analytical eyes, but it's kind of that's why it kind of slips my mind. And weirdly enough, Guy Ritchie didn't come to mind at the at the
No,
Brit-
which is
British
great.
films, which I don't know what happened there.
But don't you think though he's because now Lock, Stock has been retrofitted in. It's a Guy Ritchie film because you've seen so many others. What you have to try to remember is when it first came out, no one had seen a Guy Ritchie film ever before.
Exactly. Yeah.
So seeing them do it was kind of amazing. So obviously now everyone's seen about 10 Guy Ritchie films. You kind of know that is one of them. Because it was the first one.
I mean,
sort of
also, would we have had a Working Man if not for Lock, Stock and Two Smoking
Well,
Barrels?
exactly. We certainly
Because
would
Jason
not.
Statham started right there.
He
That
did,
in a
yeah.
way.
That's
With,
so true. Like
Stephen
Jason,
Graham.
think of that.
Crazy.
Or am I thinking of Snatch?
That's
Nuts.
I think.
Stephen Graham is Snatch. Good, quick little story about Stephen Graham, which is a good one. He was an actor, or trying to be an actor. He drove his mate to the audition, was sat kind of on a bench outside. Guy Ritchie, who at that point is not famous or rich or anything, is opening but he has made Lock, Stock. He opens the door and he's like, "Oh, come and audition." Stephen Graham said, "Oh, I'm not here to audition." And Guy Ritchie's like, "You've got a great face, mate. You've got to come in and audition." And then he gets the role in Snatch, and the rest is history.
How it goes.
And the other one I wanted to mention, we have to talk about it. It was on the Odyssey a few months ago. Chariots of Fire, because I love that film and I want to pick it up at any possible point. And the other one I think we just need to mention is Life of Brian, because I think it's such an absolute banger. And in a funny sort of way, in a bit of a gang with four lions of that time. It seems kind of quaint now that you could annoy churchgoers.
Yeah.
But when it happened, like
There's a lot of controversy,
protests and bannings and stuff. And that is a properly funny film, I think. That is like a...
Any of the Monty Python films, it's really bad.
Well, they're a mixed bag, I think.
They are a mixed bag.
I think that one is so funny.
Yeah.
And on the back of watching that one and properly belly laughing at it, I thought, I'm going to watch the other ones. It was almost the worst one to start with because the other ones, these are just to my, I'm sure, very ignorant eyes, these are just a bit kind of weird and not that funny.
Holy Grail then. Holy Grail.
Holy Grail's kind of funny. Yeah, that's kind of funny.
I think there's some bits of it. Right. Maybe it just didn't work for me.
Holy Grail's got something. There's one called Meaning of Life, which is just mad.
That's the kind of the third one that people don't talk about as much.
Right.
Monty Python.
But very good list, lads. Very good. A lot for people to check out there. So I'll tell you what, we will finish up this segment. We'll have a little break. Then we'll come back and we've just got time to find out what's coming up at the Odyssey in the next few weeks. All right, some good British films there, lads. Well done. I think it's good that we didn't just name all the classic ones everyone's heard of. There's a lot for people to check out there. So that was a long old chat. We've got a bit of time left just to find out what is coming up at the Odyssey in the next few weeks. Roberto, what are you looking forward to seeing?
Right, so got a few good genre films coming up. I'm going to first go with Final Destination Bloodline, which we've got showing Wednesday the 18th of June at 7:30. I actually only this October just marathoned all of these films. I'd never seen them before.
I've never seen them.
And I'll tell you what's great about them is that they do what they say on the tin, and they do it very well. Particularly, I really liked. I thought the first one is a really good first entry in terms of actually taking it a bit seriously. But then they do go a bit off the rails.
Do you want to quickly tell people what the premise is?
That's true, I guess.
Because not everyone knows.
Yeah, that's
what happens in every movie.
So the general Final Destination formula is that a group of usually young adults or teenagers are about to get into some cataclysmic accident which kills millions. And one of them has a vision that lets them take a select few and escape this before it actually happens.
Yeah.
But then, because they've broken the rules of death, who is, not necessarily personified, but is a living thing or a presence in this universe, they have cheated death, and as a result, death is coming for them one by one and will... make things right in his...
With statistics.
In his... Death's design is what they call it in the first one. He's cheated their design. They've cheated his design, and he's coming to get it.
It's a good idea.
Yeah,
it is
and
a good idea.
Apparently this new one is one of the best so far. In fact, maybe even the best. And it's also a great, from what I hear, a great send-off for Tony Todd, who is William Bloodworth, the coroner in these films. And he also played many a classic horror film. He was in Candyman. He was in the Night of the Living Dead remake. He kind of pops up. He's a great character actor.
You'll know when you see him as well.
Yeah, and he sadly passed away, I believe, last year, and apparently kind of have a really good send off for him in this film. So if you're a fan of Tony Todd, fan of Final Destination, or just looking for a bit of scary fun, I do highly recommend Final Destination Bloodline. And then I can't not bring up Ballerina, which is a John Wick spin-off, the first John Wick spin-off.
Yeah, that's
We've got that first showing Friday the 27th of June at 7:30, and we also have it on the 3rd of July at 7:30 as well. So this stars Ana de Armas, who I think they saw her do her action bit in the James Bond film No Time to Die, where she kicked two people in the head. She jumped up and kicked them, which I was very enamoured with.
In a ball gown.
And I'm sure everyone... exactly.
It was also a really clever Bondy bit, that, isn't it? Because it's like the first time a glamorous non-British woman in a ball gown has ever turned up and not been seduced by Bond. She basically just kicks a load of people in, saves him. Yeah,
and it is
brilliant.
The best scene in the film for my money.
Sure,
and it looks like they're like, right, get Ana de Armas, put her in for an action film. And it just happens to be a John Wick.
They actually
spin-off.
should have had her in longer No Time to Die, but there you are.
Oh, they should have.
It could have been that whole film, really.
Yeah.
We keep teasing a James Bond episode, but we will get to that because I have issues. But anyway. But Ballerina, I've heard great things about Ana de Armas. The film is directed by Len Wiseman, but a substantial amount of it was reshot by Chad Stahelski, who's done all four of the John Wick films, and as a result, a lot of his action design and kind of very innovative action set pieces are apparently in this film. So if you're a fan of that, definitely come and see it. And if you're a fan of the world of John Wick, which is kind of ever expanding as these films go along, there's kind of more layers being added, more depth added to that. So I'm pretty excited. I may be a bit biased, but I am very excited because I really liked John Wick 3 and 4 particularly. Those were amazing. So I'm looking forward to more Chad Stahelski action design. That's my bottom line there.
Keanu in it?
Well, he is. He's on the posters.
Good.
It's not a spoiler.
I guess they've got to have him in there.
I think he kind of pops up occasionally.
Bit of advice.
Yeah.
I think the film actually takes place between John Wick 2 and 3.
I think it's 3 and 4.
Yes, 3 and 4 I think is what I've heard. So So let's see how that pans out.
I'm sure they know what they're doing. That to me seems needlessly confusing, but fine. They know what they're doing. Nick, what you got coming up that you're excited about?
So I mentioned this a few episodes back when we talked about family favourites. So I feel like I have to recommend it. We got it on the big screen again. It's E.T.
Great film.
Extraterrestrial. We have that on the Saturday the 21st of June at 1 o'clock. Grab your tickets now. I mean, I honestly, everyone knows E.T. by now, but you just can't match the TV versus the big screen. You really will get to see it in a new light. Just in the same way, a bit of a tangent, but when they showed The Godfather a few years back before I worked at the Odyssey, me and my family went to watch it, and we felt like we were honestly watching it for the first time with fresh eyes. And that's something that is important, simply for independent cinema's sake, but just for films as well. It really just magnifies the sort of importance of the films of the era as well. So if you've never seen it before, definitely come watch it.
And if you love the film,
a
rare chance to see it how it was meant to be seen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the second film I'd also like to recommend, the day after, for the evening at 6:30, we've got Muriel's Wedding.
I think I'll watch this.
Yes, I mean, if no one's really seen it, it's sort of like...
This is the Aussie film that launched...
Australian comedy drama, Tony Collette.
Tony Collette, yeah. I thought we were going to forget yet another name. Yeah, Tony Collette.
No. But it's... again, it's sort of like... it's got some comedy moments in there, but you're not prepared for the drama that also presents itself. Like
they do warm films well, the Aussies. Do you know what I mean? They do some really...
Oh, yeah. And if you love ABBA...
you're
gonna have to come watch this movie.
Trailer. Lost in Waterloo.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. It's a fun movie, but also it's like it has got some heft to it, and that's why I think it makes it such an important movie to see generally, and more importantly, come to watch at the Odyssey.
Yeah, good stuff. Good ones. Muriel's Wedding, two old classics as well.
Yeah,
I like
definitely.
Sam, anything
Lovely.
you're keen on?
Yes, so yeah, as we mentioned earlier, we are showing Barry Lyndon very soon. We're showing that on the 20th and the 22nd of July. Definitely recommend coming to see that on the big screen. It is magnificent. And we've also got the new Wes Anderson film, The Phoenician Scheme, which has got a very stacked cast, as is
Benicio del Toro is the main guy,
Del Toro
right?
is in charge, and it's Michael Cera as well, who's never been in a Wes Anderson film.
Which is mad because he's such a Wes Anderson type bloke.
Yeah, he feels very fitting.
He does,
for the
He's
film.
actually like one of the better roles or characters in that movie as well.
Yeah, how has that not happened before? That's mad.
It feels like such a natural.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm hyped. as the big Michael Cera fan of the Odyssey.
Yes, and Richard Ayoade, of course, in there as well, and Tom Hanks and Benedict Cumberbatch and Scarlett Johansson. Pretty much everyone, every big name
People
you can
fight.
imagine.
I mean, Tom Hanks. People fight to get in those films. Don't
They do. Yeah. Apparently, it's all because he does these like massive parties every day that they're shooting, and they all like subsidize their salaries, so they get paid like peanuts to be in the films. They just want to kind of
It's just such a
hang
good
out with each
experience.
other,
Oh,
just for the
lovely,
fun.
yeah.
And they film them in like 3 weeks or whatever, so it's
I
a
can
really
imagine,
quick turnaround. Very small
So you're
budget,
basically filming
Yeah.
with great actors, great director, and having a party every evening.
pretty much.
And you're Tom Hanks, so you don't need the money anyway.
Yeah. So
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a great
wow.
time for
I
everyone
mean,
involved.
that just makes you a reliable source for the studio. Like, you can make a movie and it makes a certain amount of money because you've got a certain audience following you.
Yeah.
And you've got the cast already, which is up to there. I
Yeah,
mean,
a lot of prestige.
sounds great.
Yeah, I think
Legendary.
Yeah, nice.
And, meant to be a great film as well. So definitely
is a
recommend
great
coming
film
to see that. Yes. And yeah, we got it all throughout the rest of June and into July as well, I believe. Yes.
Good stuff. So some excellent things coming up. Right, thank you, chaps. Good episode today, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
you'll be the judge of that if you're listening, but I enjoyed the conversation anyway. We're going to have to say goodbye. I think because I got such a big name check from Roberto earlier, we will try and say goodbye in the style of a Wallace and Gromit film. Only because he had a go at it off air and I want to hear it again. Nick, can we start with you, please?
Okay. Goodbye, everyone. Come to the Odyssey and get a cheese plate.
Oh, jeez. Run on down to the Odyssey, lad. Watch a film or two. Come on.
Oh, yeah, wow.
Serious.
That's why he's a star of all those viral videos.
Nick Park, he put his essence in me.
Yeah, tough one to follow, Sam. What you got?
I don't know what this is going to sound like at all. Okay. Thanks for listening to the Podyssey.
That was a bit like Hutch from
It's good.
Rabbit.
Good effort all round.
Didn't
Thank
make
you
it
for
up.
listening to the Podyssey, lad. Love it. Oh, thank you, everybody.
Love
Say
it.
goodbye, chaps. Good
Bye-bye.
episode.
Bye. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. If you want to drop us a line here at the Podyssey, you can email me at neil.roger@mix926.com with your thoughts on the show, your views on the films we've talked about, and if you're feeling brave, you could do our next intro or set our next final challenge. You can find out all about what's on at the Odyssey or what's going on with Mix 92.6 FM by checking out the websites and searching them on all the socials, where they can both be found.